be in a way suited to the other sex. It applies to both. In both cases, the evolution is going on. In fact, according to the Indian tradition, the evolutionary energy is more active in women than in men.
More active in women.
More active in women than in men.
What does this imply then about those groups or people who see celibacy as absolutely necessary for spiritual advancement?
I think the time has come when we have to clear many of the superstitions coming from the past. We know now that Creator is not a human being. He has not only the mind and the brain of a man. He is a colossus who has created all these universes. And he would not create man and plant this instinct in him just to let him torment and torture himself by following the path of celibacy. And then, if evolution is the purpose of life and man has to attain a higher dimension of consciousness and to live for aeons on earth as a new species of highly gifted individuals endowed with cosmic consciousness, then the very idea of celibacy is a revolt against nature. It then means that no evolution beyond the human level is possible or should be attempted. It is a negative philosophy. It is a philosophy of despair. Man is in a state of transition. He has not yet become a perfect man. A perfect man means an enlightened man, a prodigy, a superhuman being, a yogi. And this is his transitional period. And now if he tries to stop his propagation, it means he is working against the will of God. And you will find that in many, many cases, monastic life has led to obsession, even in the case of the spiritual realm. They have been too obsessed, they have been too fanatical, even after enlightenment. It is dangerous. There can be a possibility that naturally in some people, when the Kundalini is awakened, the entire energy may go to the brain and he may not have a desire for a sexual contact with a person of the opposite sex. But the normal enlightened person should be as sound sexually as a normal man.
If I understand you correctly, you are saying that the reproductive apparatus is also the mechanism by which evolution proceeds.
Yes.
And for this reason, celibacy is contrary to the nature of evolution. Is it nevertheless your view that there may be some value to celibacy at some point in the Kundalini process, since it is a virtue or a moral duty upheld by many spiritual traditions?
You see, in the first place, there is a difference in the meaning of celibacy and continence. Celibacy means a life led more or less without sexual gratification, an unmarried life, a life of continence. Such a life is not in accordance with the laws of nature. But control of sex and mastery of the appetite and continence for varying periods is necessary for one who is awakening Kundalini through yoga. The reason for this lies in the fact that so far as I have been able to judge, some dormant region of the brain awakes to activity. And this increased activity of the brain needs a more powerful form of psychic energy, not the normal psychic energy which we are using, but a more potent form of psychic energy, or bioenergy as they call it. This is supplied by the reproductive organs. During the first phases of the awakening, the brain must be fed by all that is possible.
It must be fed
By all the energy that can be manufactured by the reproductive organs. In fact, during this period, the sadhaka is virtually in a state of insanity. He is already now on the threshold of higher consciousness, but his body, his vital organs, and his nerves are not attuned to this high dimension of consciousness. The result is that this energy is now needed to feed the brain, to keep it in a state of sanity. This I experienced on myself. In fact, such marvelous events occurred which I have not written down in my memoirs because I thought they would not be believed. So I have eliminated them. But such marvelous events occur, and there is such a suction of the energy through the spinal canal that sometimes one is frightened. But it is essential to save the brain. Every ounce of energy, I mean bioenergy, possible from the body is pressed into service to save the brain, till the adjustment of the nervous system and the brain is complete. During this period, even one emission can be fatal. This has also been mentioned by Arthur Avalon in The Serpent Power. He has cited an Indian authority, I mean a book, in support of this, and this I have verified from my own experience.
Can you be specific about the time frame during which this extremely critical situation exists?
The moment when in the practice of yoga we see light streaming into the brain, or when pranayama reaches an advanced state and there occur periods of loss of body awareness, we should then presume that the Kundalini is more or less active. And during these periods, if the condition is clearly perceptible, sometimes it is imagined, that is a different matter. But if it is clearly perceptible, and there are also corresponding changes in our digestive system and in the eliminatory system in our pulse, we should then at once come to the conclusion that Kundalini is awakening. And from this period on, sexual intercourse should be avoided. In fact, the appetite is dead during this period. Naturally also there is a safeguard. There is no longer a sexual desire because all the energy is sent up. But in some cases there may persist the desire, but it has to be controlled for some months. And then there occurs again a powerful upsurge of the sexual desire automatically. Then one should know that the adjustment has been done to a more or less extent, and that he can now indulge in this process again. But even in such cases also, caution is needed for some time.
So in the transhuman state, a person has the conscious ability to control the flow of the Kundalini energy and can choose to allow it to pass out through sexual emission or to go into the brain.
Here I must now first explain the position. Once the Kundalini is aroused and the channel is opened to the brain through which the sex energy now goes up, after a period the balance of the body is restored, which means that this energy continues to grow up, and at the same time the sexual reproductive system is again capable of performing its function. If this person again meditates, say after a few years, or again tries to still expand his consciousness, then there will be another period when Kundalini will be working very forcibly, sending all the stream of sexual secretions into the brain. But again there will be an adjustment, and again the sexual power is restored. When once it is restored and man is established in the enlightened state, he can now choose. He may spend the energy in the intercourse and have a child, or he may send it upwards. He may have the intercourse but send the energy upward into his brain. Then there is no emission outward, but the orgasm occurs inside and the energy streams up into the brain. This can be distinctly felt, and this is mentioned in numerous books.
Gopi Krishna, you are proposing something for the scientific community which, on the face of it, is totally contrary to established views in physics and biology. To propose that there is a fifth form of energy in nature beyond what science officially recognizes, and to propose that sexual energy can be reversed and brought up the spinal column into the brain, apparently flies in the face of established views. What would you say to a physicist or a biologist who says that is impossible?
What could I say to a religious fanatic who thought that all the wisdom was contained in one book? I would go my way. You see, it is a very paradoxical position. In fact, it is really unbelievable. We still know almost nothing about the brain. We still know almost nothing about how our biological energy is transformed into psychic energy. We still know nothing about psychic energy. We think, we talk, we walk, we do every other thing, but we never know what this energy is. It has been found that it is not electrical energy, it is not chemical energy, it is not gravitational energy. It is something about which science has no knowledge. And now even